And it's just unfortunate for me to see two young brothers doing so many good things, finding themselves in yet another situation to sully their own names and reputation. It looks like hooliganism, and there's no reason for that. And it's unfortunate that it happened.
Those are strong words, my friend, and I hope they find the right ears. I'm with you. The first I heard of this story, my very first thought was, and I do know T.I. a little bit from him being here on the show, man, he must have been mad to take a swing at a man that Stephen A. Smith calls the greatest defensive fighter in the history of boxing, a man who has made hundreds of millions of dollars with his fists. And obviously, Floyd sitting at Fatburger did not have any 12-ounce gloves on. He had nothing but fists. So for T.I. to take a swing, if in fact he did, I assume
that's what the reports are saying. It's alleged, yeah.
He had to really be provoked, and I'm assuming it was because of jealousy.
Exactly.
The green-eyed monster, as Mr. Shakespeare once called it. Stephen A., I've had several long talks here in Bristol with your friend T.I., and I now consider him an acquaintance. He's a deep dude. He's got a high intellect. He is extremely gifted as a musician and an actor. And then I look at his track record, I say, what possesses you? He's done more than his share of jail time, as we know, some prison time, and it's one incident after another. He had one here recently in L.A. I won't get into the gory details, but it's always something for a guy you would think has been so successful that he would, quote unquote, be smarter than that, because this is a very smart man. So at times, I hope that some of this is staged. It's just to promote your aura, your mystique. But it didn't look staged to me, did it?
No. And you know what? Stephen A., let me ask you this, and I know that we talked about this in the morning meeting, so I want to get your perspective. Nowadays, especially when these guys are angry with one another, they seem to take it to social media. So as of late, in fact, this morning, T.I.'s wife, Tiny, responded, and she essentially is trying to say that her husband was jealous. Her estranged husband is jealous, he shouldn't be, so on and so forth. What is the message when you think of both of these men that you know, because they both put out Instagram videos challenging one another, and whether it's jealousy, it's ego, it's a money issue, what's the message for them to really take away from all this? Because it seems so simple and yet so dumb at the same time.
To be cool and to learn how to walk away. You know, one of the things that I will say about Floyd Mayweather Jr. compared to most is that he's he's relatively cool and to himself in public. All that bravado that you see with the 24/7 promoting his fights or what have you, Floyd doesn't roll like that in public. Usually it's trouble coming to him. It's not the other way around, which is why you have those bodyguards with you all the time, because everybody knows how much money Floyd makes, because Floyd ain't shy about letting you know. But the problem is that usually invites trouble. I'm not going to accuse T.I. of being jealous or whatever, regardless of what his wife says, because I'm trying to figure out, why would the wife go on Twitter and dime out her husband like that? That doesn't make sense to me, because even if it were true, that is your husband. And he is supposed to take precedent over everybody else. Even if he's wrong, that's something that you tell in private. You don't tell the world that he was wrong. That's the dude you go home to, that you have a family with. So that's a different subject, and I'm certainly not trying to impugn her integrity or reputation in any way. I'm just talking about principles. If I have a wife, and that wife goes on Twitter and tells the world she thinks I'm wrong, the next call she may get is from a divorced attorney.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
With a wife like you, what I need one for.
We don't know the particulars. We don't know the particulars. So he may have done something first.
Listen. Hold it.
He may have done something first.
Hold it. Hold it.
Go ahead.
I'm only going by your question to me.
Yeah, I know,
your
but I don't want you.
To me
but I don't
was,
want you to let her have it, because he could be responsible as well. So there's two parties responsible.
Excuse me. No. You presented me with a specific question. I didn't even know about that part until you brought the question up. And you should have told me the rest of the information. So all I'm saying to you is this. If you look at T.I. and you look at Floyd Mayweather, All I'm saying is you got to know how to walk away. Everything, just because there's social media out here, everything ain't everybody's business. You can sit there and discuss. These are grown men. They're not 15-year-olds. They're not 10-year-olds. They're grown men. And you just have to look at it and be like, look, forget about how things look or whatever the case may be. Let's talk man to man, be civil. And by the way, everything doesn't have to be violent. Why can't, even if you disagree, why can't you agree to disagree and walk away? This is what adults do. We can't give the impression under any circumstances that it's all right to lean towards violence.
You got something to say? Because I want to ask
That's the problem, and that's something that needs to be addressed.
Now listen, I want to talk about this issue particularly. I agree with what you're saying about they should just walk away, but you know Floyd, you know T.I., and you also Nelly, who was somewhat involved, who's somewhat involved in this as well. Is there any way that Floyd promotes this? Even though you say he doesn't, he talks a lot. And it brings, some of these people get angry with him and they want to let him have it just as much as he does the same way with other people.
It doesn't matter if he's talking about it when we get to the point of it resorting to violence. It's just talk. As much as offensive as it may be, what we have to be concerned about is how easily it appears for everybody to resort to fisticuffs and beyond just because you don't like what somebody has to say. That's not that. The real world has shown us you are going to pay a price when you do that. And if anybody should know that, it should be black men. And you should conduct yourself accordingly. Stop resorting to violence. That's all I'm saying.
All right, I'll end it with that. And I don't have a problem with what Tiny did. If she's defending herself because of what she feels her name is being impugned, I have no problem with what she said or did on Twitter. Now we're moving on to a new topic. As you give me a sigh, you can roll your eyes. That's fine. I still love you.